Hello and welcome to the Dream Team Professor podcast. My name is Scott and in this episode I'm going to do a quick Game Week 29 team update and then show you my initial thoughts for Game Week 30. So last night I had both the Liverpool players and Cole Palmer in action and I finished the week up with 171 points and a green arrow from 342nd to 218 overall, 3,289 total points. So starting with my goalkeeper, a big fat blank for Ederson. A bit disappointing because Pep Guardiola said that he was much better this week and then he went on to not even make the bench. So really quite disappointed with Ederson. Hopefully we'll hear some news that he'll be back because City are in that early kickoff. So maybe we'll get some team leaks that will be playing. And that'll do me a bit of a favour really because I can use my transfers out on pitch. Virgil van Dijk, disappointing this week, just the 4 points. A really popular pick for people playing Park the Bus as well, usually so reliable. Liverpool conceded 1 goal in each game, which was disappointing, just the 4 points. Bradley, similar really. Obviously, Liverpool conceding in each game. 9 points for him though, because he did get a few extra bonus points. That's why it's quite handy to have people that make a lot of tackles or get bonus. Gabriel though was incredible. So 2 clean sheets for Arsenal, 1 against Man City, 1 against Luton, and 16 points in total. So pleased that I've stuck with Gabriel from Arsenal. Saka, just the 4 points, limped off in that Man City game and then was left out of the squad in the Luton one. We've obviously got to keep an eye on the latest Saka news. My gut feeling is telling me that he's going to be okay. Arteta sort of gave us a bit of an update, but didn't really say much at all, to be honest with you. So I think a lot of it is going to be guesswork when it comes to Saka. Arteta is one of these that likes to keep his cards close to his chest. But my gut feeling is he'll be all right for that Brighton match. The next 3 absolutely smashed it this game week. So I had Phil Foden with 27 points. Didn't really do much in that Arsenal game, but then got that hat-trick against the depleted Aston Villa. 27 points for the game week for Phil Foden. Then I had Kudus with 22 points. Goal, assist, 3 bonus in each match. Really happy since bringing him back. Gets tackle points as well. So 22 points for him. And then Cole Palmer. 44 points across these 2 matches, 18 points, 2 goals against Burnley, one of them coming from the penalty spot, and then 26 points last night against Man United, completing his hat-trick with 2 100-minute plus goals, 2 penalty goals again in that game, so 3 penalties for the game week. The new Penandes, Cole Palmer, but hey, keep giving him these pens, he's going to keep scoring them, so yeah. Really impressive week, 44 points for Palmer. Totaled 9 shots on target across the 2 games as well. So yeah, it's going to give people a real big decision to make because he does just have the single game week this week coming against Sheffield United. Most people typically would remove the players that have a single game week. But when he's putting up numbers like this, it is a really tough decision to make. I had then had Son up top, who I bought in last week for Ollie Watkins, which turned out okay. Got me 13 points. I think I probably hoped for a little bit more than that, to be honest. He blanked in one of the games, got a goal in the other, but it's up on Ollie Watkins anyway, so I'll take that, but I'm planning to get him out this week. Haaland blanked with just the 2 points, and then Salah, my captain, disappointed really, so 30 points with the armband, 15 points for the game week. I did expect a lot more from him this week. He was subbed in the 60th minute against Sheffield United. Initially it looked like it was going to be the 59th, but he has been given that extra point for playing the 60th minute. So only the 1 goal this week for Mohamed Salah. Did rack up a ton of shots in that first match against Brighton. But overall, I think most Salah captainers would probably be a little bit disappointed with that. So looking at my team for game week 30 and my transfer plans. So obviously these are all subject to change. I'm just like anyone else. I tinker with this and think about it on a regular basis. But this is how I'm going to narrow it down to sort of a little bit of a watch list and who I want to move in and out of the team. So there's 4 players that could potentially get the cut for me this week. Ederson, obviously in goal, didn't play this week. Picked up the injury and I held him thinking that he would end up playing. Pictures of him in training. Pep said he had improved and was looking okay, but no matches this week. So I'm starting to wonder whether I just replace him just in case Pep tries any funny business again this week. If I was going to replace him, it would probably be a straight swap to Ray now. Obviously Kelleher It's just the clock is ticking when Alisson could come back. And again, people don't really give too much away. But with Raya, we just know if you put him in, he's going to be the Arsenal goalkeeper from now to the end of the season. And they're a solid defence. So I quite like the look of swapping Ederson potentially to Raya. I've got Saka, who we're sort of waiting for injury news and updates on. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens with him. My initial thoughts is he'll be fine, and I'd be happy to keep him if he is fit. So I'm not going to think too much about taking Saka out. But then my typical moves would be to take out Son and Palmer because they have the single game weeks and go for doublers. But if it wasn't for Saka or Ederson, that probably would be the way I went. But with Cole Palmer putting up these numbers, it makes for a difficult decision. So my thoughts are leaning towards replacing Son and Ederson currently and keeping Palmer in for that Sheffield United match. Just don't want the uncertainty with the keepers. I think Ray is good enough to stick in and leave for the rest of the season. And then the question is, what do I do with Son? The other thing that could happen is if in that early kickoff we hear that Ederson is okay, I then might have to go Palmer and Son. And I probably still would, even though Palmer has been really, really good. It doesn't feel great, but that's probably what I'd do. And in that case, here's my sort of watch list of sort of two players, or the players that I'd want to bring in for these two positions. So obviously Luis Diaz. I've got 3 Liverpool players here. Luis Diaz got an assist last night, making it 12 goals, 7 assists for the season. He's got 65 points over the last 4 game weeks, and he's 48% owned in the top 1K. So I wondered why my rank did dip quite a bit when that assist went in. But he's looking really, really good. Darwin Núñez got a pretty lucky goal yesterday with the keeper just kicking it straight at him and it going in. But that was his 18th goal, 17th assist of the season. That goal just felt like it summarised Darwin Núñez. 18 goals, 17 assists. He's got 63 points over the last 4 game weeks, so 2 points less than Diaz. It's so hard to split them. He's slightly less owned in the top 1K, 34% owned. But I expect both Diaz and Núñez probably going to go up in ownership this week. And then a little bit more exciting is McAllister. Would be more of a differential, 5.7% owned in the top 1K, but he's scored a massive 83 points in his last 4 game weeks. He's getting the odd bonus points here and there, but most of his points have been coming from these attacking returns. He's made it attacking returns in 6 games running last night. Also hit the crossbar with a free kick late on. It just seems to be on such good form. Typically, Núñez, Diaz, I think, would be better picks. It just makes me wonder with a player like McAllister. It feels a little bit like a hot streak, but then do you get on him on the hot streak? Or do you just think maybe this is going to end at some point? It is a really hard decision to make. I think I'd prioritise getting one of Diaz and Núñez in, but I wouldn't mind combining one of Diaz and Núñez with McAllister. So having one of the highly owned ones and then McAllister as a little bit of a differential. I quite like the idea of doing that. All these guys have impressed for the last couple of game weeks, or last few game weeks. Also making the watch list for me, Jared Bowen, 19 goals, 9 assists. He's been really, really good. Wolves game looks okay on paper, but I'm a little bit worried about the Leverkusen games. West Ham are a great team and they can catch them on the counter or do well, but we can't ignore how good Leverkusen have been all season. Unbeaten all season, and you'd have to say you expect that West Ham probably do go out, and then that means that West Ham won't have doubles. They've got obviously the first leg, second leg, they'll have doubles in those 2 game weeks, but then after that, that will probably be the end of their double game weeks. Whereas if I went for an Arsenal, Liverpool or City player, they have doubles in their next 3. The first leg, the second leg, and then they've got the Premier League and FA Cup matches in that double game week 32. So probably a higher chance of progression with Arsenal, with City and Liverpool in that Atalanta match. So I think I'm probably leaning more towards going Liverpool or City than West Ham, but Bowen has been really, really good. And then Rodri. Again, it feels like a little bit of a bland pick because he's one of these more defensive-minded players. But he's on 8 goals, 11 assists for the season. Really, really impressive attacking returns. 18 points this game week. He's averaging 5.7 and he's got 28 bonus points. So he's on 199 points for the season. And another player that if you just put in, you don't really think that he's going to get rotated very often. So he's going to be pretty safe from now till the end of the season. So that's sort of my watch list. My initial thoughts are do Ederson to Raya and then do Son to Diaz or Núñez. I think I'm leaning towards going for Núñez. A bit less owned. I think it's really hard to split them. but the attacking returns are probably edging it for Darwin Núñez for me at the moment. But it probably won't pull me forward rank-wise very much. The Raya one is just going to give me 2 Arsenal defenders, and we've just seen very best he's going to get 13 points. So the ceiling does feel pretty low. And then the other sort of option that I could go for is if I get early team news that Ederson is going to be okay and he's starting, maybe I just keep him. There's been talk online that maybe Ortega could end up being a new number 1 because he has impressed since he's been back. I don't see that happening. But if I do get Ederson news that he's starting, then maybe I just use these transfers on the more high upside players. It's going to feel horrible taking Cole Palmer out, but I think that is what I'd do. Son and Palmer to maybe Núñez/Diaz plus McAllister. So I'm going to get one of those highly owned Liverpool attackers in, and then a bit of a differential with McAllister. I quite like the idea of doing that rather than going for the 2 highly owned ones. Obviously getting Kudus in as a bit of a differential worked well for me this week. Maybe getting another one in McAllister could be all right. But it is going to feel horrible taking Palmer out ahead of that Sheffield United game and him playing so well. There probably will be a view to get Palmer back in 32 when he doubles, but I think it's a hard double in Arsenal and Manchester City, so that's going to be tough. So that's what I'm thinking at the moment. As it stands, my armband is on Mohamed Salah currently. That United defence has been so poor. I think he could get a few goals against them, and I expect him to play Atalanta too. I think he starts both games, but the only worrying thing is that early sub yesterday. Hopefully that is just keeping him fresh for the United game. Foden obviously made a bit of a statement this week that he could be a good captaincy option, but I still don't quite fancy it. And I still think that Haaland, even after his rest and disappointing in a few weeks, could come back firing. We can't rule him out. I just refuse to do it. I don't really like a differential captain this week, so I probably am going to take the easy way out of choosing between Salah and Haaland. Let me know what your thoughts are for this game week and how you got on this game week as well. Like most players, this isn't my final decision. I'll be thinking about it probably all day and probably overnight and tomorrow. And we'll be doing a deadline stream with the Dream Team Tonic podcast tomorrow, so that'll be on my channel this week. So do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're not already. And then head over to the Dream Team Tonic podcast. Check out the latest episode. There'll be a link in the description below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.